Light is healing. In syncretism, the subject of light is crucial and fundamental. To understand how light works and its properties, and in particular its healing property, is so crucial with syncretism. This is why I'm with LifeWave. LifeWave understand light and how it works and how it heals. These patches emanate signals into the body. The body, being already self-wise, knows how to utilize those signals for regeneration, for energy, etc. So that's why I would say go LifeWave and go to the light.
Physician who's had my license for 40 years and had a very strong biochemistry background, I can say, and seeing what's happening with the X39, I can say without a doubt that this is the most significant medical breakthrough in my lifetime.
Hi everybody, Maria Benardis here. Hope you're well. So today I'm coming to you with a very important video to do with taxation. A lot of people may not know, before I transitioned into health and wellness and food, and of course it's all related, it's all to do with transforming our health, I was actually in taxation law. So I was also an accountant preparing tax returns, and a lot of people will not know I was also one of the youngest board members on the Tax Practitioners Board, which was an independent department division of the Australian Taxation Office, which is the equivalent of the IRS in Australia. So I was in tax for over 20 years. So as you can appreciate, this is a very passionate topic to me because I also worked as part of the position on that board as someone who enforced the tax laws and enforced disciplinary actions against accountants, lawyers, and tax preparers in Australia who did not prepare the tax returns properly, so that the taxation can be submitted to the equivalent of the IRS, the Australian Taxation Office in Australia. So I have been doing a lot of research into taxation and its legality, and people will know that I've been very outspoken as far as it not being legally enforceable. And really, it's optional as far as I'm concerned as to whether you pay it. And I did write a letter many years ago to the IRS opting out of paying income tax and also state income tax. So today I'm providing you with the evidence, and very important that we all take action in terms of declaring our sovereignty and saying enough is enough with this nonsense. And I'm going to present to you also a website and additional videos at the end, so you will have all the evidence that you need if if the IRS is harassing you in terms of paying taxes. And I'll show you ways where you can also get help if that happens, so that you're no longer harassed. So again, you do not have to pay income tax, and I'm going to show you the evidence. Again, please share this video. We want lots and lots of people to have this video as evidence, and to follow the steps that I will go through at the end of this video to basically say enough is enough of the bullying, of paying something that we do not need to pay, called tax, and what you can do to take action to free yourself from what I consider to be really a system of slavery and stealing your money. So I'm going to show you information, and again, please share, because I want hundreds of thousands of people to actually follow these steps. And as we do that, the power comes to the people, and it forces the president of the United States to actually take quicker action. As far as this ridiculousness is concerned. And if anybody's been sued, there's enough evidence here to stop those nonsensical actions. So first of all, if anybody still is paying income tax, then you are volunteering to participate in an illegal and corrupt system. So you are choosing that. You are choosing to participate in the matrix, and really you're giving up your power and your sovereignty. So sovereignty is not about just signing a document and saying, "Oh, I'm sovereign," and that's all there is to it. It also requires action. And as we all take action towards declaring our sovereignty, and we believe that we are sovereign, what happens is we increase awareness and we inspire other people to stand up. And then there is power in numbers, and then there is power when we take action to lift the collective consciousness and awakening of the collective. And this is what freedom and sovereignty is all about. Now, sitting back and taking absolutely no action does not fully put you in your power of a sovereign being. There must be action. So action against the systems that are keeping us as slaves, and the systems that are collecting money when they should not. So again, taxation is a voluntary system. Now, I can go back, and I also have a master's of taxation law, so I'm very well versed to actually engage in these discussions and this topic. And I can tell you now, in all the years that I was in taxation law, this is in Australia, the same applies here, but I'm going to go through the specific laws of the United States of America. There was no section or nothing that anybody could show me which gave me evidence that it was compulsory to pay the tax. There was always gaps. It was just programmed into me at university that it's something that people must pay, it is something that people must do, and that's all there is to it. And what happens is all these accountants and tax lawyers and everybody, they've all been brainwashed by the degrees. And there is a lot of fear because, they don't want to investigate and find out the truth, because it would mean they would have no clients to lodge tax returns for. So there is also some fear coming from these accountants, lawyers, and tax preparers as well, let me tell you. But I can tell you now, we did not start our studies by us being shown evidence that this was legal to do so, let me tell you. And there is case law in Australia, and people can research it, which actually shows you quite the opposite, that it's not legal and it is optional. So I will show you steps at the end after I cover some amazing information on a website. So an ex-IRS agent has put all the information that we need together. And then I'm going to give you steps of what we can do. And please share far and wide, because it needs to be hundreds of thousands of people doing what I'm going to instruct, so that we can take this system down and expose it for what it is, an illegal bullying system, taking our money, and really anything that we've paid to date should be returned to us plus interest. So I will proceed. So there's this amazing man that I've come across, Joseph Bannister, who is an IRS agent and has turned whistleblower, that asks many questions that I have asked in the past that were not answered properly. So he went on a quest and did his own research. And these are the findings that he found. And then I'll share the screen to his website. The IRS was administering and enforcing the income tax laws beyond the parameters of the laws passed by Congress and signed by the president, and he provides proof. And you can click on it and read it and find it out yourself. Number two, beyond the parameters laid down by the U.S. Supreme Court, and you can click and find the proof. But also, three, the IRS's own internal procedures, manuals, and literature itself indicated the IRS was knowingly deceiving the American public about the scope of its true income tax authority. And again, there's a link on his website where you can find the evidence. He has a lot of case law to support it and a lot of other information. So what I'm going to do is share my screen. So just one moment, and I'm going to bring his website up. So you should be able to see that right now. So I'm just going to check. Yep, I'm going to stay in his website. So it's called agentfortruth.com. Again, agentfortruth.com. So this is an amazing website. This is a very God-based, amazing man. You can go through and find out all about him, read his resume. He also has an amazing publication if you really want to dwell into all of that. And so you can go into About Joe and find all this out. So he was a special agent, former IRS agent with the IRS. So it goes through his history. So he knows what he's talking about. Now, on this website, you will find lots and lots and lots of articles and interviews that he's done, and how basically the IRS has deceived us into believing that we have to pay. So, and a lot of other side subjects happening there. So that's on the blog article. So I am going to click on each one just so we can get the flavor of what's going on here before I delve into some specifics of what we can do. He also has a section where he's done speeches, interviews, and of course he has a media gallery that I'm clicking on now, where you can basically find a lot of information, and unfortunately also what they did to his family, because he revealed the truth and was a whistleblower to basically quieten him. Some great information there. So as we all know, anybody that speaks the truth, including myself, we're always, hushed or threatened. And as people know, they've shut down my YouTube channel, my Twitter channel, my Instagram channel. I do have a backup YouTube channel, but of course they're monitoring the numbers and they're not letting the channel grow, and my videos are just not going out there. So and I've never ever recovered the large numbers that I had there. So this is what they do, and then they threaten you. So this is very important. These are very important resources here. These are people that can help us in terms of they also are people that are supporting the cause that this is illegal. So you can find their websites and find their work and what they're doing to whistleblow. But most importantly of all, these are very important cases down the bottom here that give support to everything I have just been saying, that taxes are illegal. So this is case law. It gives you the evidence here, and you can click on these cases and read them yourself. Or if you want to quote them and give them as links and say, hey, listen, you don't know what you're talking about. Have a look at all of this. So the case law is there. The sections are there. And most importantly of all, this tab here, Educate Yourself, is where he summarizes exactly what I said before, that it's illegal. cannot be enforced, which was the summary of the 1.1, 2, and 3 points. And you can click on these links and there's the evidence. You have the evidence. You can print that. So it's all there. And he goes further down and provides further links on the evidence, how they tried to suppress him. And not only that, I'm going to provide at the end of this video and where you can learn more on all of this. So the evidence is there. You can go absolutely crazy and read it all. So I'm not asking people to do anything that doesn't have evidence. Okay, there is evidence. So educate yourself. It's all there. Now I'm going to go back home because there are some steps that I'm encouraging people to do that also this lovely man has helped us to do. So the first thing I'm encouraging people to do, and this is part of your claiming your sovereignty, is to write to the IRS. And you can actually, here under Educate Resources, put this in your letter. Okay, this paragraph here about the recent research that you have found out, that it is illegal and fraudulent and no basis for this tax and for you to pay income tax, and opt out of it. So I have already done that step and sent that letter to the IRS. So that's step one that I'm encouraging you to do. Now, if you want to see my letter, then I'm happy to give you a copy of my letter. And below in the description of this video, I have Buy Me a Coffee, and I always also give you my Venmo details. You can buy me a cup of coffee, to compensate for the time that I'm putting into, sending it and what have you to you, and that you're getting it on a silver platter and not having to draft it yourself. And I will send you a Word document to your email that you can just fill in the details. Okay, so again, the details are in the description of this video. Now, the second most important thing you need to do, and it's not in any order, okay, they're just three things, is to declare openly your sovereignty, that you're a sovereign being and that you are exiting 3D matrix. You are no longer going to participate in illegal, ungodly activities and support fraudulent and illegal activities, and believe that with your heart and soul. So that's very important as part of sovereignty and will help give power behind the letter that you are going to write to the IRS. And secondly, the third step is to actually download this document that this lovely gentleman has put together. And it's here on the left-hand side. Again, I am on the agentfortruth.com website. Again, agentfortruth.com website. So on the left-hand, or just type in Agent for Truth and you'll find it, or agentfortruth.com, it's there, is here on the left. So you click on this postcard and you print it out and you send it to President Trump. And what does this postcard say? IRS whistleblower, former IRS special agent Joseph Bannister has proof of massive IRS fraud against the American people. The IRS and DOJ tried to silence and discredit him, but they failed. He kept his oath to support and defend the U.S. Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And then over, when you print this, you put your stamp, you put your address there, and of course, address it to President Trump. And here he has on the back, and I'm going to try and increase that a little bit so we can all see it. So he talks about what he uncovered. And then he has specific links that the president or anyone else can go through to find the evidence and his website. Okay, so what you can also do is Once you've put the stamp and addressed it, you can take a photocopy of this and attach it to the letter to the IRS and send that along with the letter. So again, I'm just going to go back to here and stop sharing the screen so I can come back. So again, all the evidence is there, okay? So it's not as if we're talking about something where we don't have evidence and we can't prove it. So I encourage you to take those 3 steps. I'm going to outline them again. Step 1 is declare your sovereignty out loud, believe it, and feel it and live it, that you're powerful and sovereign. Number 2, write a letter to the IRS and opt out. And you may want to also include a copy of that particular postcard on that agent's website that I just showed you for additional information. I would encourage you to do that. Why not? And if you don't know how to draft up the letter, I'm happy for a cup of coffee. I have my Venmo and PayPal details below where you can buy me a coffee, and I will send it to that particular email address. If you Venmo me, please also supply your email address so I can send that to you in a Word file, and then you can just amend it and put your details there and send it off. And third, print that postcard and fold it and stick it together. Put a stamp on it, put your address, and address it to the President Trump at Washington, D.C. If you do a Google search, President Trump, President of the United States, White House, the address comes up at Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C., and that's where you would send that. Now, at the end of this video, now when I finish speaking, there's going to be some additional videos that I'm adding there of other people that have whistleblown and said that this whole income tax is illegal and complete fraud on the people of the United States. And I'm sure and I know in Australia it equally applies, but the law is, of course, different. And I'm sure the same is everywhere around the world. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this video. God bless you. I hope that you will take action, at the very least, to send that postcard to President Trump. And for those that are true sovereign beings, to also send a letter to the IRS. Why are we doing this? Because we want corruption to end. And where there is large numbers, laws are changed. So we all need to stand up and take action. It's time. And please share this video around with as many people as you can, because we want hundreds of thousands and millions of people to do this procedure. Enough is enough. So thank you, everybody, for watching. God bless you, and have a beautiful day. Thank you.
I really expected that, of course, there's a law that you can point to in the law book, the code, that requires you to file a tax return. Of course there is. Maybe I don't know what it is right then as he was speaking to me, but sure. So naively, I agreed to go off and research it and get back to him. 3.5 months later, I was at that point where I couldn't find the statute that clearly made a person liable, at least not me and most people I know, and I had no choice in my mind except to resign.
I had to leave the IRS because I presented evidence that I had accumulated indicating that the agency was violating the law and violating people's rights. And I asked the agency for a response to my sincere concerns. And the answer I got was that they would not respond to my concerns and that they would provide me with the paperwork necessary to tender my resignation.
But We the People Foundation for Constitutional Education put a full-page ad in the USA Today on July 7, 2000. And within the body of that ad was a $50,000 challenge for anyone that could show the law. And to me, $50,000 is a lot of money. So I went after that and did the research based on the fact that I thought, let's put this baby to bed. I'm hearing all these rumors. I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I'll answer these people's questions that are asking me, and then I'll win this $50,000. And, based on the research that I did throughout the year 2000 and that I'm still doing, I have not found that law. I've asked Congress, we've asked a lot of people in the IRS commissioners, helpers. They can't answer, because if they answer, the American people are going to know that this whole thing is a fraud.
I was surprised to hear these highly trained and decorated IRS agents telling me there was no law requiring American citizens to file a 1040 or to pay an income tax on their labor.
I haven't filed an federal income tax return since I left.
I have not filed a tax return since 1999. Approximately 67 million people don't file an income tax return.
So I called Sheldon Cohn because he used to be the IRS commissioner. He wrote the tax code, and he was also general counsel to the IRS. He is a true expert, and I couldn't find a better person to answer my questions. He graciously agreed to my interview. The reason I'm doing this documentary is because there are many people in America today who believe that there's no law that requires them to pay an income tax or file a 1040. And there are many people going to jail for it, fighting over it.
The Internal Revenue Code is authorized by the 16th Amendment.
I think it should be clarified. I think government should be transparent to the people. Why doesn't the IRS commissioner sit down with them and just explain it in clear English? Why?
I don't think they really care. I think they're just playing word games.
You don't think they're sincere people?
No, I don't think they're sincere people.
What does voluntary compliance mean? And why does the IRS code say it's voluntary to comply, not mandatory?
That's a word euphemism we use. We use voluntary compliance when we talk about traffic signals. Most people at 2 o'clock in the morning, do you stop at a red light?
Yeah.
Is there a cop there?
Sometimes I don't.
Well, I do, and most of us do.
Right.
But that's voluntary compliance.
That was a complete perversion of logic. Traffic laws state that it is mandatory to stop at a red light. The IRS code says it's voluntary to comply. Mandatory and voluntary are the complete opposite of each other. Yet he wants us to believe that they mean the same thing. So can the government criminally prosecute somebody of information put on their 1040?
Yes.
Right, so doesn't that violate the Fifth Amendment?
No.
But the Fifth Amendment says I don't have to do anything that incriminates myself.
Well, it doesn't incriminate you to put your income down.
But you said before I could be put in jail for it. The commissioner wants us to believe that although the IRS demands that you fill out the 1040 and you can go to jail for it, that they are not violating your Fifth Amendment rights of self-incrimination. That is absurd. Isn't it true that the word income is not defined anywhere in the Internal Revenue Code?
The law says that the government has a right to tax income from any source derived.
So, but the word income is not defined in the code. It just says income without a definition
That's right.
of what income is.
That's right.
Correct?
Yeah.
But there are many different kinds of taxes. Well, how can an American citizen know what income is if the code doesn't define it? If they're paying an income
Because
tax...
the courts have all defined it.
Do you remember what constitutional attorney Edwin Vieira said?
The definition of income in the Constitution was given in the Eisner versus Macomber case, and it turns on gains or profits that are made from some activity.
So the Supreme Court has ruled income is not wages, it's not labor, it's gain from corporate activity. I believe that a man's labor is his private property.
That's your view, but it's not the law.
The Supreme Court's even said your labor is your private property. When I go to work for somebody, it's a trade. It's an even exchange. I do some work, you give me some money.
In 1916, we had the Bruchaber case and the Stanton case. And the Bruchaber case and the Stanton case said that the 16th Amendment gave the government no new taxing power.
I'm not going to argue the niceties of that with you.
And it came up again in a case called Peck versus Lowe, where the Supreme Court said the 16th Amendment did not extend Congress's taxing power to any new or accepted subjects. In other words, if you weren't taxable before the 16th, you weren't taxable after the 16th.
Today I interviewed a juror, a guy who sat on a case, and they found the person not guilty for lack of filing, okay? And I asked her why they found him not guilty. And she said because the IRS couldn't show us the law that made him liable to file a 1040.
All they need to do, if there is a law, is to show us the law, which of course they never did.
And the reason they didn't do it was why?
Because there is no law.
Title 26 requires you to file a return.
But doesn't Title 26 have to be in compliance with the Supreme Court decisions?
You're going to take a 1920 case and superimpose it on the whole Internal Revenue Code that was written after it? No, that's not.
I can't believe what I just heard. Rewind.
You're going to take a 1920 case and superimpose it on the whole Internal Revenue Code that was written after it? No, that's not.
Remember he said earlier the Internal Revenue Code was authorized by the 16th Amendment?
The Internal Revenue Code is authorized by the 16th Amendment.
Remember, the Supreme Court said the 16th Amendment did not give the government any new taxing power. These decisions have never been overturned. Let's listen further. Can the lower courts overrule the Supreme Court?
No.
How are they putting people in jail today for not paying a tax on their labor when the Supreme Court said they don't have to? Doesn't the IRS code have to be in compliance with the Supreme Court? That's my question.
This is a waste of time.
Well,
because whatever I say, you're not going to believe.
He's right. I don't believe him. And neither should you. He wants us to believe we should obey the IRS code, which is being enforced in violation of the many Supreme Court decisions. If the Supreme Court made a decision...
Thank you, Aaron. I think we're finished.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cohen, you're doing that.
Well, I'm sorry that you constantly re-argue the point. You're liable because the law says that you're liable, and the courts say the law says you're liable, and that's why you're liable.
You see, he's talking about the lower courts, who are not in compliance with the Supreme Court, as they have to be. Doesn't the court have to be in compliance with the Supreme Court?
The Supreme Court has so held.
Where?
You caught me unprepared.
I'll come back.
Well, I don't want to do that.
But let me ask you a hypothetical question.
No. You're making silly arguments here.
Why is the Supreme Court decision a silly argument?
Well, because it's inapplicable.
That made my heart stop. He just said Supreme Court decisions do not apply to the IRS. That's the behavior you would expect from a totalitarian country, maybe China or Russia or Cuba. Not from America. They're just making up the law as they go along. Now I knew the tax honesty movement was right. The IRS thrives on intimidation and fear, not by law. It's no different than a criminal protection racket, using force to extract your money from you. Then the former IRS commissioner, now working at a prestigious Washington law firm, threatens me. Watch.
Aaron, you understand Yiddish. Cornish to helfen.
For those of you who don't understand Yiddish, that means nothing will help you. Now it all became clear. I understood why the IRS wouldn't go on camera and talk about where the law was. I understood why all the senators I called refused to be interviewed. There is no law. And now you know what our political leaders and the courts have known for decades and have tried to cover up. The United States Constitution strictly forbids a direct, unapportioned tax on the wages and salaries of American citizens. The United States Supreme Court has consistently ruled that the income tax is a tax on profits and gains, not on labor and wages. On behalf of the American people, I challenge the IRS to show me a statute that allows a direct, unapportioned tax on the wages and labor of the American people. And if I'm wrong, I will give my most humble apologies to the IRS. If the IRS is wrong, and there is no law, then every person who's been jailed should be let out of jail immediately, and any assets seized should be returned to their rightful owners. If this is a nation of laws and a free country, then the IRS should show the law to the American people.
They're a fraud. They're voluntary, and there's no law stating that we have to. To all district directors, April 4th, 1985. On March 5th, 1985, a charge of tax evasion was filed in the United States District Court in Indianapolis, Indiana, by U.S. Attorney George Duncan. The charge was dismissed. The defense attorney, Lowell B. Craft, of Huntsville, Alabama, presented irrefutable evidence that the 16th Amendment to the United States Constitution was never properly ratified. This amendment, which established the income tax, was signed into law despite serious defects. In reality, only 2 states ratified the amendment, and ratification requires 36 states to be valid. The effect of this is such that every tax paid into the Treasury since 1913 is due and refundable to every citizen and business. The official position of the service is, as it has always been, to aid and assist the citizens of the United States. We will not publish or advertise this finding, as a total immediate refund would cause a serious drain on the resources of the Treasury. For those citizens who become aware of this finding and apply for a total refund, expedite their refund documents as quickly and as quietly as possible. A simple 1040X form will suffice until a new form is designed and printed. Advise each of your managers that they are not to discuss this situation with anyone. There will be no written communication, and you are to destroy this memorandum. The Secretary of the Treasury assures me that there will be no reduction in the workforce, as this refunding activity will take a minimum of 5 years to complete. Further directions will be forwarded as the need arises. Rosdy L. Ager, Jr., Commissioner of the Internal Revenue Service. There you have it. Yep, there it is. So let's instead of filing taxes this year, how about we start demanding our refunds for every tax that's been paid since 1913? Does that mean that we can file refunds for our dead grandparents and our dead great-grandparents and our dead parents? Like, let's look into this. Let's look into this some more. What do you think they're going to do when they see 322 million people filing for a refund on the taxes that they have paid out throughout the entirety of their lives for the last 111 years?
Claims was that the IRS's own internal manuals, called the Internal Revenue Manual, or IRM as the acronym, inside that manual, it would actually say that the IRS Criminal Investigation Division that I worked in, or the Examination Division, which is where the auditors are, or the Collection Division, where the guys that steal your or take money out of your bank account and put liens on your houses and those things. If you look at the Internal Revenue Manual, you'll see that it actually lays out that the jurisdiction, the reach, the ability of these IRS agents is limited to Americans who are living and working abroad, outside the country, not inside the country where you'd expect, because that's where we see them. They're on TV, they're out there doing their audits and investigations. And I thought, well, that couldn't possibly be true. So I went upstairs to the law library and flipped through the official Internal Revenue Manual that the IRS, keeps for their own lawyers and accountants. And there it was. Copies of the Internal Revenue Manual that I looked at and thought, wow, well, this isn't a lie. This is exactly as these people that the IRS called illegal tax protesters are saying, that the IRS's own admission in their own Bible, their own manual, says that their reach, their jurisdiction is limited to Americans living and working abroad.
And so the crux of her argument is that Americans that are not living abroad and are just living in the United States don't have to pay a federal income tax. Is that the heart of her claim?
Well, it's a pretty deep topic, I'm sure. Like, we could really go into the weeds, and I know you don't have time to do that, but basically it centers on an absence of a liability statute. And what I mean by that is, if anyone just can bear to go into the Internal Revenue Code, and I actually can show you why it'd be hard to bear.
Wow.
To go in. This is from 2012. But anyway, now with the internet, of course, you don't have to go and flip through pages. You can go and do word searches. But the IRS in the 1040 booklet, they display what's called the Privacy Act and Paperwork Reduction Act notice. And that's basically the notice to the public about what laws that are there that require you to do these things, for the IRS, give them tax returns. And the IRS's own admission in those statements, which are required by law, because you as an American are supposed to know what laws require you to do what things. So the IRS spells out, and again, this is on my website, that you must give us a return or statement for any tax you are liable for, any tax you are required to pay. And the courts have ruled that, well, you have to be able to be the person responsible for paying a particular tax. So in the law, there's a person or a party that's required to pay a liquor tax, a tobacco tax, the papers that go around a cigarette, there's a tax on that. There are all kinds of excise taxes that are and income tax that are required to be paid, but there's a person who's made liable, who's designated as the responsible party to pay it. And so it's not, people might think it's an oversight, but how could it be an oversight that the average American living and working in the United States is not made liable to pay the federal income tax?
Light, the energy of life itself. Since the beginning of time, light has sustained us, fueled our growth, and shaped the world. Even Einstein recognized that everything we are is made of light. But what if we could harness the light within us, not just to live, but to renew, restore, and rejuvenate? As time goes on, we begin to show signs that things just aren't as they used to be. Energy fades, sleep declines, and healing takes longer. The reason? Our stem cells, the building blocks of renewal, become less effective over time. Since 2004, LifeWave has been delivering groundbreaking technology to help the body do what it was designed to do, only better. Introducing LifeWave X39, the first product in the world that activates stem cells using our body's own light. Backed by clinical research, multiple patents, and over 10 years of stem cell research, LifeWave's founder, David Schmidt, achieved something remarkable in the field of wellness and regenerative science that others, despite years of research and billions in funding, could not. The result? A revolutionary wearable light technology that unlocks the power of activating our own stem cells with a single, safe, affordable, non-transdermal patch that puts you back in control of how you look, feel, and perform. Here's how it works. Unlike traditional light therapy, which requires external light sources, X39 uses the body's own infrared light. When an X39 patch is applied to any point on the body, our infrared light is reflected back into the tissue, sending a signal to the brain, activating a powerful peptide, GHK copper peptide, known to activate our stem cells. These younger, more effective stem cells then go to work, enhancing energy, relieving pain, improving sleep, accelerating recovery, and promoting healthier hair and skin. Unlike drugs or chemicals, X39 works naturally, awakening your body's ability to heal and thrive. Whether you want to boost energy for your busy life, recover faster, or simply feel your best, X39 supports your body's natural renewal process, helping you live long, live well, and live young. No matter your age or stage in life, Your body is capable of more than you realize. It's time to unlock your full potential, restore your vitality, and embrace a healthier, more vibrant you. Be the light with LifeWave X39.
So I went into the Air Force Academy in 1993, graduated in 1997, and started active duty. And throughout the years, you just do what you need to do, and you don't always pay attention to your body. You don't go to the doctor when you probably should be going to the doctor. You carry a lot of gear. I would deploy. I deployed during 9/11. And you get to the location you're going to, and you've got 40 pounds of gear on your back. And as a woman, sometimes that's a lot. But you just do it because you signed up to protect your country, and you don't understand what's happening. You're wearing the military boots, which weren't always the best fitting. And so anyway, throughout the years, through those 26 years, I developed back pain. I have a lower disc problems. I have arthritis. And then when I was 33, I was on 15 medications for my pain, some during the day, some as needed, some at night, trazodone, gabapentin, ibuprofen, the list goes on, right? And I was very skeptical because I'm very much a medical person and just black and white. And the next day I woke up with less back pain. And I am one that I toss and turn all night, and I am constantly moving, trying to get comfortable. I could not stand in one location for more than about 60 seconds without having to sit down because my back hurts so bad. I have sciatic nerve issues. I couldn't drive for more than an hour without having to get up and take a break and walk around. And I noticed about a 20% increase or decrease in my pain after that one usage of the. I then decided to just try it for a month. So I'm about 2 months into this now. My pain has decreased 50%. Better. I don't wake up multiple times a night, tossing and turning, and I wake up more refreshed. And I think even in addition to the reduction in pain, I've noticed an increase in my energy. Yeah. So I used to be one. I'm not a morning person. Never have been. You'd think after being in the military, I would be a morning person because I had to be. No, it was always a struggle. It was always hit snooze 4 times. And I have literally been waking up before my alarm. I haven't even set an alarm in the last month, which my mom doesn't believe me because she's the one that used to have to tear me out of bed to go to school, and I'd miss the school bus. I'm waking up when the sun comes up.